shared to my page too. Okay.
Okay, it's 10:30, so we'll get started. So hi guys, thanks for joining us. This is my page, so you already know my name, Shari Casanova. I'm the owner of Staged Above, and today I have a special guest, one of our awesome clients, Meredith Fogle. She is the founder of The List Realty. So I'm going to let her just give a little bit more information about who she is, and then we'll kind of get started. If you guys have any questions for us, obviously feel free to put things in the comments. We'll do our best to watch those and respond. And again, obviously, if you have questions later, feel free to reach out to either one of us. I did tag her both personally and her business page. So with that, Meredith, if you would like to share a little bit more about who you are and anything you would like to share.
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, Shari. This is so fun to do with you. I appreciate it and have so valued our partnership in business. You are amazing in everything you do and bring so much value to our business, our agents, and our sellers. So Meredith Fogle, founder of The List Realty, and I'm here in the Kentlands in Gaithersburg, Maryland, but we are licensed in Maryland, DC, and Virginia, have agents servicing all of those jurisdictions. I am a team leader. I've been doing this for 27 years, and I'm a podcast host, author of a book, and about to start hosting, selling the DMV for ADTV, which is American Dream TV. So I'm super excited about that. Mostly a listing agent, have listed lots of houses, work with buyers as well, but absolutely love this business, love what I do, and am just thrilled to have partners like you, Shari, and Staged Above, to be supportive of us, of each other in this business.
Yeah, thank you. Can you, I forgot about your TV, American Dream. Where can people watch that? Because I don't think is it out yet? Like, where can we watch that?
No, I actually have my first pre-production meeting at noon today.
Cool.
So yeah, so we're just in the planning stages now, but it is available on your local cable syndicates. I think it airs Saturday or Sunday at noon. I'll have to post that when I know for sure. And it's on ABC, NBC, Fox. You can get it through Roku, Amazon TV, a bunch of different places, but mostly cable outlets.
Really exciting. Yeah, very cool. So if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump into some questions. And anybody that knows me, I'm just kind of like all over the place. So I'll try to rein it in and not jump too much. But I know that people have a lot of questions right now with just everything in general in life, but we'll try and keep this real estate focused. This is such a weird market. And when I say weird, I don't mean negative, but I wanted to kind of bring Meredith on to kind of get some insight from her, because while I am in the industry, I'm not a realtor. So I can't share some of the insights and knowledge that she may have as an expert in that. And I hear everything right now. I hear everything. Obviously, I'm meeting with a lot of sellers, and they'll ask me like, well, is it really a good time? I mean, obviously, yes, I'm here, right? Your realtor brought me in, so I'm here. But I wanted to ask you, Meredith, what your thoughts, where are you leaning towards? Is this market changing from what it once was? And then would you say this is a normal market, or where would you kind of say things are right now?
Such a good question. And when people ask me that, I often say for the past 24 months or so, it's like we have been like on the Autobahn going like 180 miles an hour. And now we're going like 120 miles an hour. So it feels a lot slower, but it's still a really fast-paced, seller-favored market. So it is not a balanced market. I don't know, there is a normal market. The market shifts and adjusts constantly. That's like saying there's a normal stock market day, like there's no normal. Which is why being adaptable and agile is so important as a business person and a real estate agent. But it depends very much on price range. So have things changed? Yes. Obviously, the interest rate has ticked up. Buyers are having a psychological, sometimes a rather emotional reaction to that change, which, old people like me always go, oh my gosh, I bought my house at 15.1%. What are you complaining about? Which sounds crazy, but it was about home ownership for me. I wasn't looking at the rate. I was looking at my ability to own a home and afford a home that I knew would appreciate. And we all know that in the US, the number one predictor of wealth is home ownership. That will never change. And I think that not only does the average consumer understand that, but the economy and the government understands that. And that's why this emphasis on the interest rate ticking up to try to quell this, crazy pace of inflation we've had is important, but there has to be that fine line of keeping the economy fueled by the housing market, because the housing market fuels the whole economy. I mean, that's a huge indicator of overall economic health for our country. So, when people say to me, is it a good time to sell? Is it not a good time to sell? In any market, it's about whether it's a good time for you to sell. People have babies, people have changes in life situations, people have to sell because of a financial or family situation or a job change. So I always come from the prerogative of, why are you selling? Is it a good time for you? We've had people in the recent market go, I'm just selling to cash out because I won the lottery on this house. I'll go rent somewhere. That's happening less for sure. But looking at different price ranges, $1 million and above, still a good pace. We're not seeing 5 to 10 offers anymore. We might get 1 to 3, 500 to 700. I don't know where you guys are watching from, but this is DMV area. Still very fast paced, multiple offers under 500, no change really. Wildfire, no contingencies, tons of offers. That was the long answer, but did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think that was a really good perspective, and I'm definitely hearing, different things, even from different agents. So I think that's why it's important to, make sure whoever you hire to work with, whether you're selling or buying, that they do have knowledge, that they do know these things, because you don't want to, I don't know, that's obviously, like, usually when you're selling, that is usually your biggest investment. So you want to make sure that you are working with somebody who has information and knowledge and isn't just kind of doing it, with no backing. So yeah, you kind of answered my next few questions, because the next ones I was just going to say, like, is it a good time to sell? Is it a good time to buy? And I think you kind of answered that at this point. So let me kind of jump into you and what you offer people. What would you say? And I could share what I think sets you apart, but I would love to hear from you. What do you feel like sets you apart from other realtors? What is it that maybe you bring to the table, or what you can offer people that maybe somebody else doesn't?
Yeah, thank you for asking. That's a good question too. I think, when I'm talking to a seller about what we offer in terms of service, our marketing obviously is completely unmatched. Not only is our social media presence huge, I'm now considered, according to my 14-year-old, a micro influencer. So she's having me contact cosmetic companies to see if I can partner with them.
That's a big deal, actually. That's pretty cool that she's telling you that. I love that.
Well, she's telling me for her own gain, but
fair enough.
She's thinking like an entrepreneur, so that's fine. But yeah, so social media is huge, and it always surprises me when sellers work with agents who don't have a social media presence, because we do find buyers that way, and casting the very widest possible net to find a buyer or buyers for your house is enormously important when you work with an agent. And it's just a way of getting in front of people at scale. But beyond that, we also have a really fabulous global agent network, and making those personal connections. So we go from the wide, giant net of the internet and social media to kind of like a focused, personalized outreach to people who we know have buyers waiting for our listings. So we're really covering all the bases. We're really focused on helping a house to show its very best. And again, it really surprises me when, anybody can stick a sign up. And I always say to people, if you're going to do that, if you're going to go with the discount agent, if you're going to go with an agent who's not going to take professional photos, not do videography, not stage, that's huge. Just put the sign out yourself. I mean, really, because otherwise, what are you worried about? Hire an attorney to help you negotiate and put the deal together. You're paying the agent first to fulfill your needs, 2, to price the house correctly, 3, to prep and market it correctly, 4, to negotiate on your behalf, and 5, to make sure that the deal stays together to the settlement table. And that takes expertise. So I think that expertise is also really important when you hire an agent. And again, having somebody who knows the market in and out and can really find out what's important to you and help you fulfill your goals. That's where I always come from first, is what are my clients' goals and how can I help them fulfill those? And sometimes it's to say, this probably isn't the right thing for you to do right now. Let's hold off. Let's wait. Maybe you rent it instead, or let's talk in 6 months. I always think big picture, not transactionally. And I think that's why I've had the longevity in the business that I've had. But the other big differentiator, and this is going to play exactly into what you do, Shari, is staging a property. Everybody is always flabbergasted that I foot the bill for the staging, because I don't know that anybody else does that. Maybe they do. You would know better than I do. But it is that important to me. Staging makes a huge difference on a buyer's perception of the house. And of course, the staging is done partially for the photos, but not just for the photos, for the client experience, the buyer experience when they walk through the house. It really can make or break a decision to actually tour the house and a decision to make an offer on a house. So for me, that is like one of the big differentiators. And if people always say, like, if I do a, a $300,000 condo, they're like, you're going to pay to stage this? And I'm like, of course, I would do that, or a $3 million house. I treat all my properties the same.
I love that. That's something I've said since I've started my business, and everybody in my office knows I say this kind of to like my tagline. And you kind of sounds like have the same philosophy. I say every home deserves to be presented well, regardless of price point, location, or style. And I truly mean that. I have staged literally mobile homes, like even like $20,000 mobile homes. Now it wasn't an expensive stage, but even this guy was like, absolutely, I want you to stage it. I was like, really? Even that was like my second year in business, but I think it's true. I don't care where you're at, what county you're in. We kind of go all over. Doesn't matter to me. I just feel like, why wouldn't you want to make the most money out of it or do the best for your client? And I thought it was, and we do have, we do have other agents that work with us. But one of the things I've really appreciated about you specifically, since I have you on here, is that even during all the COVID stuff, I think I reached out to you and I was like, thank you so much for continuing to work with us. Like it was so cool to see, because definitely not all, but others kind of were like, well, we'll get back to it. We don't necessarily need it right now. So I know that we really appreciated that. And you were like, oh my gosh, I think you said, I think I saved it because it was so good. You were like, it's even more important. You were like, of course I'm still doing it. I was like, pinch me. This is so cool. Like to know that you believe in all these things so much, but really at the end of the day, it's about your client. Like it's all about your client. And you even like backed that up a minute ago when you said, sometimes I tell them it's not a good time to sell because that's not always, or maybe not even a good time to buy, right? Because that's not always the case with maybe working with somebody else that may just be looking at the dollar, like, okay, I'm just going to make money off of them. So I am very blessed to be working with many people that feel that way, but that is something I definitely see in you. And that's why I have you on today, because we have really seen that in you. Like when we meet with your clients, we're like, she's the best. And you take professional photos, like you're all in, like you are out there personally doing a video, you are just doing everything you possibly can. And it definitely shows, because we're staging and destaging for you like that. Sometimes can be a little bit, woo, but that's awesome. So we really appreciate that. I guess, let's see, what time is it? We're jumping right along. So about the experience for your sellers and buyers when they walk through a house. And I don't want this to be solely focused on staging. So definitely jump me out of this conversation if we need to. But how have you experienced, because the big thing that's, I guess, hurting us right now in some ways is that a lot of people it's the big, like, oh, are you really going to go there? But I am. How do you feel about virtual staging? And when you are with buyers specifically, because you obviously are showing other houses that maybe you weren't a part of. And so if it had been virtually staged and then you bring your buyers through, or your agents on your team, because I know you have many agents on your team, when they're bringing buyers through, what is the reaction? Because what I have been told, I am not bringing buyers through a house, but what I have been told by other agents is that when they're bringing buyers through, it's really disappointing. Like they're like, it's kind of like a letdown, and there's nothing to get them excited once they get through the door. So what are you saying with virtual staging? Do you ever see a need for it? Because I do. So I will say that there's a caveat to that. What's your thoughts? I would love to know.
Well, I'm interested to hear what the need for it is, because I don't even I can't imagine it. But I would say at best, virtual staging is confusing. At worst, it's misleading. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that our MLS has a rule now that if a property is virtually staged, you have to disclose that, because it can be considered misleading. So there's this term, my oldest, my son, who went to school for computer game design. There's this term called the uncanny valley. Have you ever heard that?
No.
It's like when you feel like so they try to avoid the uncanny valley when they're animating or creating like a character in a video game. And uncanny valley means like a thing that is supposed to look real, but something is just off. And sometimes you can't really feel what the thing is that's off, but you just know. And so, thinking about when you're presenting a house, the last thing you want is for a buyer to feel like anything is off. It can lead to them just not going to the house, or just like they carry that feeling when they even walk through the house. Right. So you got to stay out of the uncanny valley. And what sometimes happens, I always look at virtual staging photos and I'm like, why does this feel off? Sometimes the shadows are just weirdly placed. Like you can just tell, like, like in your human brain, what you are seeing is not real.
Right.
And that leads you to mistrust what you're seeing. So having a feeling of trust when you're walking through a house you want to buy, pretty important, I think. And then when you walk through the house, to your point about buyers being disappointed, like I've seen people get almost angry. So I've had buyers come through and be like, this is completely different from what they showed. This room is like 10 times smaller. And sometimes I'm like, well, with the piece of furniture that you saw in the photo, which was probably like not even really to scale to a real piece of furniture, it's hard to like really perceive it. But yeah, and then to me, like, I know I'm probably wasting my time even taking them to that house, because what they're going to see and experience is so vastly different from what they thought they were going to. And it really creates this like almost like a defensive, like just not a good feeling in the buyer. So I would never use it for that reason, and for over all of those reasons. And it's the experience you have when you walk through the house is so important. People want to feel like this is like aspirationally how I would decorate and live in the house. So when that's all stripped out and you're walking in and seeing like blank empty rooms, it's not the experience you want.
Yeah. And I think when we have been called in to restage after something has been virtually staged, or we have an agent try and dabble in it, they tend to come back. I had one last week who was like, I tried it. And I kind of said, what'd you think? And, she's like, I'll never do it again. I said, tell me why, and same things that you're saying. She said for even what she paid for it, it just didn't, it was very disappointing. But I do think so. For maybe the only time I see it warranted right now is for new construction. If they're just literally like maybe no model home or anything out there yet except a piece of land, maybe then but that's really the only time and I think that's why it was originally done. Like, I think, and I wouldn't, like everybody in my industry, we all talk about it. Like, I'm a part of a huge network, and, we keep our training up just like realtors do. And we talk about this all the time. And we all kind of, at least the people that I kind of connect with, we all kind of say, look, like things change. We're not opposed to doing it if we saw that it helped, but I don't see that it helped, because trust me, if I could make money doing that and it actually helped my clients and helped my realtors, I could sit at my house all day and do that. It's hard work moving these couches. My team is out there doing it today. And as soon as I leave, I'll switch my shirt and just get into my gear, put my hair up, and I'm going to be out there helping them carry the furniture and hang the art. So it's not that I'm opposed to changes. And I know that technology changes. I'm not opposed to that. Some are even talking about, and I don't know if you've heard this, Meredith, it's an interesting discussion. I've heard that like Inman and stuff, but taking it to another extreme of when you now walk through the house with your clients, you're going to be given goggles.
Oh.
And I don't know if you've heard that, but like, that's a real big discussion now. Cause I'm like, well, that's maybe slightly different, but I don't know. To me, I still want to feel it, touch it. Like and maybe I'm old because I'm still the person who wants the book. Like, I want to hold it, touch it, turn the page, like bend it up, flip the corners. So I think that staging does that for people when they walk in. They do, like, they'll touch our couches and like, oh, it's soft, and it just creates more feeling. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see, but at this point we're not offering it because we do get asked if we offer it. Some stagers do. I just can't go there. I don't see the value in it at this time.
No, I agree. And I predict actually that the more digital things become, the more, even like most of the younger buyers I have come in, it's so funny. They're coming back, like they want to meet me in the office.
Yeah.
They want to tour a house. They want to see it staged. They want to picture themselves living there. That's their solace, right? That's their like home base. That's their nest. And that is a human need that we'll never separate each other from. Even the people who live in the virtual world all day, want a real place they can go back to, sit down, feel the comfort of all of the senses. And that's something that virtual anything can never provide.
Yeah, well, I love that. And that kind of goes over to another question that I have for you that you don't even know I have for you, because it made me think of this. And that is, like, for you and your office, you guys have an office. I know you moved since I was there last, but I think you're like right there, like in, if they call it downtown, but like in the Kentland, like on a really cool street with all the restaurants and coffee, everything you can possibly walk to. Such a cute place. And you have an office. And I love that you are doing that, and you're all about like training your agents and really, like, if they're maybe struggling with something, you were sharing earlier that you are there to help them and help them grow, and you're in the office teaching them, training them, and it's very hands-on with your people. And I think that's really cool, because I think so many agents now are maybe, especially since COVID, kind of like going more towards like, oh, let's just work from home. But I think well, maybe not everybody, but I know a lot of people are kind of sick of being alone. Like, you want to be in that environment and you want to thrive off other people and their energy. And so it's no different when buying, but that kind of goes into even how you operate your business. So maybe you can share a little bit about that. And I know you have a team. Are you hiring? What does that look like? If there are agents that are maybe looking for a different option, tell us about that.
Oh, thank you. Sure. Yeah. And it's funny, real estate can be a very lonely business. So yeah, I always say it's like you do all this work at the front end, you're helping the client, and then you're kind of like waiting to get paid. And usually you take this giant paycheck home and nobody's like, great job. Oh, look all the money you made. You're like, here, put it in the bank account. Great. On to the next one. But unless you have a culture and a community of people who are like you, who can get together, celebrate you, everyone learns and achieves together, it can be really, really lonely. And many team leaders build the team out of that loneliness. Like, they want someone else that they can just vent to, that they can ask, what would you do in this situation? And that's actually kind of how I started my team, and because I knew I needed help to handle the leads that I was getting. So when I realized that I really also loved to pour into other people and watch them grow and succeed, that there was like nothing more rewarding than that, that's when I started to bring more agents in. And I sort of like naturally attracted people to begin with because of my podcast. So I have this podcast called So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent, which we just broke 80,000 downloads, and it's pretty popular. I know, it's crazy. Like, the first day I released it, and it was like 25 downloads. I never could see this day happening, but I kept getting people who wanted to join. And, we all learn. And there were people who were kind of not what I call the avatar of our agent, that I brought on thinking, oh, I can fix that, I can change that, whatever. And I couldn't. So now I'm very specific. Yes, we're always growing. So I actively recruit every single day. I'm very selective about the agents that I bring in. I probably say no to as many agents as I say yes to. And I look for specific things. So alignment with our culture, which is really success through service. So when we do the right things, the results follow. That's where we come from. And we are all we're hard workers, like you. We have a very strong work ethic. I expect people to be here, to be grinding, to be lead generating. I think where I specialize, one is geofarming. I teach that. I wrote a book about it. So that's one of the things that I specialize in, bringing mastery to agents who want to geofarm. I actually coach agents all across the country on geofarming, one-on-one via Zoom. But with my agents here, I'll teach them to geofarm locally. And I also teach what I call the agent to hunt and kill. It sounds a little bit violent, but really it's the skill you need to succeed in this industry. And it's the skill that most of the agents who have entered this business within the last several years don't have, because they have been getting mostly inbound leads. Even if they're on a team, or some solo agents who paying for leads, those have diminished massively. So agents who were never given the skills or taught the lead generation skills that you need to go hunt and kill for your own leads in this business are unfortunately going to wash out of the business. They've been hamstrung by not getting those skills. Wonderfully, that's what we teach here. And we have always done it. Even though we do give agents leads here, we teach them equally to lead generate and give them every tool they could possibly need to do it. So we know when the market shifts, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah. So you said you had a podcast and a book. Can you tell us more about how people can find out about your podcast, where they can listen,
Sure.
and then your book?
Yeah, thank you. So the podcast is So You Want to Be a Real Estate Agent. We're in season 2 right now. And it is anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it's on Audible now, like every podcast outlet. If you just Google it, you'll find it. And the book is called Farming for Real Estate Agents, and it is a blueprint for beginning, cultivating, and then dominating a real estate farm. And it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of like worksheets in it, exercises you can do, even from the very beginning, how to evaluate whether your farm that you're looking at is a viable farm area for you. And that you can find on Amazon Books, anywhere you get books, but Amazon is usually the link I share. It's available copy, of course, electronic copy, Kindle, and on Audible as well.
Okay. I love that you are willing to share that, because some would say like you're really like giving in your local market, because I'm in your area too, and there are agents here. You're willing to share that information with your competition. So that's interesting to me. I feel like that, what you give comes back and all that. So I love that you're, willing to do that. I think that is something that definitely sets you apart. And in my industry, it's the same. Like, I'm happy to talk to local stagers and encourage them, because I think there's plenty of business to go around. So, there might be some things that we don't share, but for the most part, like, I think that's really cool that you're willing to kind of share that stuff with your podcast. So you want to be a real estate agent. What is the focus of the podcast? If people were curious about maybe downloading it or whatever, what is the like kind of focus there? Who do you have on? Is it just you talking? Do you have other people?
No, it's never just me. I always have either a co-host or a guest who is sharing tips and tricks. So it's basically for anybody who is either starting in real estate or wants to take their business to the next level. Okay. And we started it because so many people would come to us and be like, I think I want to be a real estate agent. And I was like, we must make it look really easy. So we actually started it to like discourage people from being real estate agents and being like, this is really hard. Here's what you actually have to do. Oh, wow. And then it was funny because our listenership was like, oh my gosh, you inspired me to be a real estate agent. I do have what it takes.
You're like, no.
We're like, okay, we're going to shift this then to, if you all are going to be real estate agents, making you good real estate agents.
That's awesome.
We may have to work with you at some point. So now we share anything from, all the things that we encounter every day to, like, we have stagers on, we could have you on, have I had you on my podcast, Shari?
Yeah, I was.
I thought I had. Yes. Okay. Sorry. We have had investors, we have lots of other team leads on, we have lenders on sometimes. We have other entrepreneurs from other industries. Like, we had my friend Sarah, who just got the #1 salesperson in all of Mary Kay, because there's a lot of alignment between building her business and we build our business kind of the same way through relationships. So it's, tips, tricks, secrets for success in real estate.
All the above. That's really cool. So we are actually like coming to an end. So I have a couple more things I want to share, and then I'll let you, share anything else as well. So I want to just give three tips, 3 staging tips. This is not an end all be all, because there's so much to go over. And if I'm doing a consult with you as a seller and your agent brings me in, obviously that's, about 2 hours that I spend with you. But even if you're a real estate agent out there, these are things that you can share and do without me, even though I don't want you to. So 3 tips that I have for you guys. Some of this is probably obvious, but I want to remind everybody not to overlook curb appeal. So first impressions are huge. Obviously, pictures are important, but people will drive by sometimes before they call, and you don't want to overlook curb appeal. And then once they get there, I always tell people the agent's messing with the lockbox. Sometimes there's a malfunction, right? So the buyer's kind of like taking it all in, standing back. They're right there. They're already deciding if you've taken care of the house. So don't forget to wipe down the spiders. A lot of us enter the house through our garage and we never stand at our front door, but that buyer is going to be standing at that front door longer than probably you have ever stood there until it was when you bought it. So don't overlook curb appeal. Edge the lawn even, that feels more expensive. And one last tip, if your HOA allows, when in doubt, always paint the front door black. Colors are great and I'm open to that and I do it a lot, but if you're not sure, you can't really go wrong with black right now. So paint the front door black if your HOA allows. Second tip, white towels. I know Meredith knows I say that you just can't go wrong. You don't need me for that. Just seriously, if you do nothing, go buy white towels. Don't put the dirty red, dark, black towels in the bathroom. I see so many expensive houses online, obviously not with my agents, but that there's just like dirty towels like hanging and not folded nicely, and they're dark and your eyes going right to it. So just get some white towels. Go to Walmart, it doesn't matter. Just cheap white towels are fine. Do it for all your bathrooms. There's a reason hotels use them. Primary bedroom should always look as expensive high-end hotel as you can get it. That does not mean spend a lot of money, you guys. Like seriously, it does not mean spend a lot of money. You can get some really inexpensive layers to add to your beds just to up the perceived value, because that's what it's about. You always want to make people feel like they're in the most expensive house, whether it's 100,000 or 2 million. You want to always up that perceived value because people will pay more for that. So that's my 3 tips. And then to kind of end, I wanted to ask you, what areas, I think you covered it in the beginning actually, but just in case people weren't listening, how can people reach you? How can they find you? I do have you tagged. And what areas do you cover as a realtor, and how can you be reached?
Yeah, so I cover Maryland, DC, and Virginia. I should say my brokerage covers Maryland, DC, and Virginia. You can find me on social media. If you just use my name, you will find me. Meredith Fogle Team is usually my social media handle. You can call me or text me 301-602-3904. Email me at meredith@meredithfogle.com, or find me online at meredithfogle.com.
Awesome. Okay, well, this was great, Meredith. Thank you for being on. And I know you're busy and have to go work on your TV show, so I'm going to let you go. But feel free, you guys can reach out to Meredith. I have her tagged in there, and I appreciate everything that you do. And I hope you have a good day.
You too. Thanks, Shari.
Thanks.
Bye.